I know who killed Bunny Folger. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Becca. If you haven't been here before, welcome. So today's video is another video about Hulu's Only Murders in the Building. Today we will be talking about episode 6, performance review. So if you haven't watched up until episode 6, do not watch this video because there are going to be spoilers for you. I have a bunch of videos from both this season and last season that I did that I will link down below and in the corner up here if you want to check them out. It's definitely worth doing because all the clues kind of lead together and it'll help everything make sense. If you like these videos, it would mean so much to me if you would subscribe to my channel. I am trying to hit 1,000 subscribers by the end of the season and we are over halfway there. I am so excited, but once I get 1,000 subscribers, YouTube will start giving me some AdSense for my videos and that would be absolutely amazing. Also, there are a lot of new faces here, so I'm going to be doing a new Q&A because the one that I did is pretty old. So ask me questions down below about me, my life, anything you want to know about me. And also, you know, you can ask me about my favorite parts of the series, characters, whatever you want to know, drop it in the comments down below and I will get to answering your questions. I would love to get to know you guys a little bit better if you want to share things about yourself, and I would love for you to get to know me a little bit better. So that will be coming up in the next few weeks. Also, if you like it over here, you should definitely go check out my Instagram. It is my daily life, chit-chatting about Only Murders in the Building. Feel free to message me and I will definitely message you back. I'll put the link down below. Last but not least, I want to give a shout out to the Only Murders in the Building Reddit group and specifically Lover Team PDX. I will put them up here. In my last video, I was discussing the song My Son Bill that Teddy Demas sings in the first season, and I didn't mean to not give them credit, so I just wanted to throw it out there, give them credit for that, pointing out that that song and this season are totally connected and coming up with that awesome theory. So Lover Team PDX, you are awesome, and if you want to join the Reddit group, I will leave the link down below. Now let's get into the video. The first thing that is really important that I want to talk about is the repeated use of the number 8. We talked about this earlier in the season and I can link which video it was up here somewhere, but I've kind of expanded my theory on the number 8 and I just want to point out a few more instances where it's been used. So I was looking at the card game that Oliver brings out, which is Son of Sam, and this is really interesting because the Son of Sam was actually a real killer who went around and he shot 8 different people in cars, in their vehicles throughout, I think, New York. So I just wanted to bring up another instance where the number 8 is popping up, and the game The Son of Sam is inspired off of a real killer. And so I think this is just another opportunity where the number 8 is coming up. They made this game themselves and they were inspired off of this person, and so I think it's really interesting because they could have chosen anything. So kind of looking into like, why did they choose the name The Son of Sam? Why did they choose that killer? It's because of the number 8, I think, and I'm going to talk about my theory about the number 8 a little bit later, but that is a clue that I wanted to point out. The next thing we know is that this episode is sort of from Poppy's point of view. She kind of starts it off. We're seeing her in the office as well as her popping up throughout the rest of the episode. So this is really interesting because we've never really deep dived into Poppy as a character, and I'm really excited to explore her more and see what she knows. So we also learned that Saz is back in this episode, not only in the beginning but also in the end, and they're also a fun character from last season, so it's really interesting to have them pop up again. They are being the stunt double for Charles, and we also see someone being zipped up into a body bag, but we quickly realize that this is on the set of Charles's new show Brazos, and that it's not anything to do with another murder. Thus far, no one else has been killed. This is just a scene from Brazos. The next thing we learn is that they find a fingerprint on the matchbook when they're looking at it, and they decide that they need to turn it into their police connection, who they think might be Detective Williams, but they're not 100% sure. They're not even 100% sure if this person is in the police force, but they just make an assumption. So after they use the phone number to text whoever it is, they soon realize afterwards when they're meeting with Detective D's partner that she is not the person who's texting them because she's actually on maternity leave with her wife in a completely different state. So it can't possibly be her who's texting them telling them that they should meet up. So they figured that they're actually texting with the killer. Ooh. And they assume that the killer doesn't know that they know, and we're also not sure that this is the killer, so we're not going to make any assumptions. It could be someone else on the police force. We just know that this person is the same person who told them to get out of the building at the end of season 1. So who is that? Why are they looking out for them? What did that mean? We don't know. So the person who's texting them ends up telling them that they can't meet up any longer and that they're going to have to just do a drop so that they can pick it up later, kind of like they've got eyes on them. So our fave trio decides that the best way to catch the person is to create a glitter bomb, which Oliver creates himself with a little bit of C4. Don't know where he got C4 from. And they say that the glitter will get on the person, and glitter is terribly hard to get off, so they will definitely be able to know who this person is and find them again afterwards. And of course, they're not actually dropping the evidence off in this trash can. They just want to figure out who they're texting with. So the next thing we see is that Cinda Canning has dropped this new episode where she is talking to Jimmy Russo, who is apparently someone from Mabel's past, and he is claiming that Mabel chopped off his finger when they were working at a Long John Silver's. And this is just another instance of Mabel looking like Bloody Mabel and really looking like an unreliable character. Of course, we learn pretty quickly after, and she explains while they're waiting for their glitter bomb person, that Jimmy Russo was actually just a really handsy guy, and she ended up giving him a shove when he was trying to, you know, go at her, and he fell backwards and chopped his own finger off in the meat grinder. But that's not how it looks to everyone else, and as much as I believe Mabel's story and I don't think that she chopped off someone's finger, I do think that she has this inner anger and violence that we see come out later in the episode, as well as just this like unreliable sense. It seems like she's kind of losing herself, and I don't know if she even knows what she's capable of. So that will be interesting to see as the series goes on. So as they're discussing, you know, Mabel, the new episode, and the fact that they think that Charles should break up with Jan because they have realized that he's still seeing her, someone gets blown up by the glitter bomb, and they completely don't see it happen. They completely ignore it. And only when Mabel gets out of the car to say like, peace, I'm out of here, does anyone notice that this person is covered in glitter. And by then that person is basically running through Morningside Park way too fast, far away from them to get to. So all their efforts have kind of been for naught, and this person now knows that the trio set a trap for them. So whether it's the killer or not, they are definitely aware of the trio's intentions, and it's no longer going to be easy to figure out who this person is. After this, Mabel is pretty upset, and I can't tell whether she goes back to her own apartment or whether she goes to find Alice specifically, because I'm not sure if she's shooting it in her apartment, or whether Alice has created an entire set to look like Mabel's apartment. I believe it's the second one. But basically, Mabel stumbles into a setup of her past with dead Tim Kono and Zoe, and Alice playing Mabel, and someone playing Bunny laying on the ground. Earlier in the episode, we see Alice taking photographs, so it now kind of clicks why Alice was so interested and keen to get into Mabel's apartment and take all these pictures of it, because she was interested in recreating it, whether it's for a like live action theater piece that she's doing or just for photography that she wants to sell or whatever. And Mabel is obviously upset by this because it's weird and traumatic and really unexplainable, but Alice tries to claim that she was looking at trauma through a fine art lens in an attempt to help Mabel, but Mabel doesn't really let her get very far into it because she literally pieces out immediately, which I would too. That was crazy. Whether or not Alice's intentions were actually pure, I don't know, but it's possible that she just went about trying to help Mabel the wrong way. We see that she made this sculpture for Mabel and had her destroy it, so it's possible that she was trying to do something similar where she's like, look, I created your past and now you can burn all these photographs or whatever. But whatever it was super sketchy and weird. So next we see that Poppy has called Mabel and is telling her that she is a liar who will do anything to get a good story, and that Poppy knows where all the metaphorical bodies are buried and that there are lots of them. So basically claiming that a lot of the podcasts that Cinda created have lies in them or are made up, and that Cinda's really just trying to make a good story and she doesn't really care about the facts. facts, which is part of the reason why she was so willing to publish this information by Jimmy Russo, making Mabel look bad when it's not even true. As Poppy is talking to Mabel, we see that she is on the train and she turns, and who do we see? Somebody covered in glitter. This person could have been coming from like a weird underground rave where they were covered in glitter, but most likely this is the same person who was looking to pick up the evidence that they dropped in the trash can at Morningside Park. So this person is starting to come towards Mabel. You can see in her face that she's really frightened, and also that she kind of like hangs up on Poppy when she makes eye contact with them. This person is also completely wrapped in a scarf and glasses. You can't see their face at all. They're wearing black from head to toe. They are pretty tall, and we just have no idea who this person is. It could be someone who is innocent, who's just trying to help the trio out, or it could be the literal killer. We don't know. Next, we see that Oliver and Charles are having a really cute bonding moment because Oliver is waiting for his genealogy test results to come back to see if he's actually Will's father, and he's pretty freaked out about it. So he asks Charles basically if he can stay in his apartment until the results come, and Charles kindly obliges. So they're just like being besties, which was really cute. But then Will sends Oliver a video, and when they open it, what do they see? Mabel stabbing this person with her knitting needle on the subway, and then bolting out of the subway at the stop, whatever stop she's at, and then stopping. Like, she doesn't fully run away. She stabs them pretty graphically in the arm with her knitting needle. She hops off of the subway and she kind of stops in her tracks. Maybe next episode we'll see her turn around and say something to them, or maybe we'll see her bolt up the stairs. I don't really know what her intentions are or what her thought process is, but it is definitely looking like Bloody Mabel is in trouble. It looks really, really, really bad, and it is not good for Mabel's reputation as someone who is innocent and not someone who would stab people. Now, do I think that Mabel is like a crazy person or the murderer? No, I don't. I think that she was probably acting in self-defense, but I also think that this does represent that Mabel has this unpredictable side to her, and I think she's really being misrepresented in the media. Every time we see her, she's covered in blood, stabbing someone, destroying a sculpture. So that is kind of what we learned in this episode. If I'm being honest, I felt like the episode went by really quickly with not a ton of like clues that were really necessary for us. Like, I feel like this video is going to be significantly shorter than the other ones that I've done, just because this episode almost seemed like filler in a way. We didn't get a lot of the clues and like a lot of the substance that we've been getting in the other episodes. And, you know, in fairness, not every episode can give us everything that we want. They're telling a story and they need to tell it in all the parts, so having this part in this episode was probably necessary. But I didn't find a ton of clues. As usual, if you found clues or you have theories, make sure to drop them down below so we can chit chat about them later. Also, taking a look at the person that Mabel saw on the subway, we can tell they are pretty tall. They are, like I said, completely wrapped up with pretty big sunglasses on. It seems like they are also wearing gloves, so we really don't see a lot of their skin or anything. But one thing we know is that Mabel just came from physically being with Alice in Alice's weird setup of, you know, the play of Mabel's life or whatever. So it's probably not Alice who threw glitter all over herself and hopped on the subway. It's not even like she would know about what they were planning. So most likely it's not Alice. It does look like it could be Marv. And it wouldn't surprise me if later on we learned that it is Marv and that he was actually trying to help them out, or if it's some sort of new character. Not 100% sure, but we know that this person is tall, skinny, appears to be white, but they are wearing a lot of pink glitter, so who really knows. Wearing sunglasses, a lot of dark colors, which we've seen a lot in like the person in the Catacombs was wearing a lot of dark colors, so it seems like, you know, maybe they're the same person, but we don't really know. And clearly Mabel felt like she had some reason that she felt she needed to stab them, whether it was just that they approached her and she was freaked out, or whether they said something to her and she acted. We are not sure. So I want to go back to the theory that I was talking about at the beginning of this video with the number 8. There are, as we've spoken about before, a lot of places where they've mentioned the number 8. They have now mentioned the number 8 with the son of Sam, who, you know, killed 8 people. We know that Howard actually had 8 cats because he is on Sevelin, and then, you know, he had his first cat, Barbara, I think, but she was a bitch. So assuming that it's that cat plus 7 Evelyns, that would be the number 8. We also know that after 8 complaints, I believe, you get evicted. We see that Bunny has 8 stab wounds, plus the knitting needles in the front, but 8 stab wounds in the back. So there's a lot of places where the number 8 is just reoccurring, coming up. And some of you have said to me that you think that it has something to do with an infinity sign, because when you turn 8 over, it's infinity, or maybe the person who is the murderer lives on the 8th floor. But I've been rewatching the first season as well as this one, and as far as I can tell thus far, they have not told us that anyone lives on the 8th floor. The only time when we've seen them go to the 8th floor is when they go and take the service elevator up to the 8th floor and then take the stairs to the 9th floor to see who was murdered when they end up stumbling upon Tim Kono's body. So that was 8 as well. But like I said, I don't know anyone who lives on the 8th floor. If you do, definitely let me know, drop it down in the comments. But Howard lives on the 3rd floor. As far as we know, Marv doesn't live in the building. But what I do think is the connection, and my theory, is that the number 8 is actually alluding to the 8th episode of the first season. And I talked about this a little bit in my last video, but I believe that the 8th episode in the first season tells us who the killer is. And in that case, there are only 2 people who I think it could be. And I'm gonna keep talking about these people because they're just like my best guess right now. But the first person is Howard. We know that Howard claims to have had a close relationship with Bunny. He calls her Bun Bun. But also we know that Bunny could tick off the people who were closest to her, the ones that she cared the most about, that she had contentious relationships with a lot of people who lived in the building, even if she did really care about them. I mean, she like fought with Nina, but at the same time seems like she had a really close relationship with Nina. So it's possible that Howard is someone who she cared about and was close to, but who ended up killing her in the end. And the reason I say this is because in the 8th episode of the first season, our fave trio are discussing who they think the murderer is for the Tim Kono case. Obviously at this point we know that it's Jan, and Jan is there and she's giving them suggestions, and she keeps going back to Howard. She keeps saying, forget the Demuses, I don't think it's the Demuses, I think that it's Howard, I think we should relook at Howard, he was your first guess and I really think that it's him. And it's really confusing why she would do this when A, she is the murderer, so anyone going down for the murder keeps her in the clear. So the fact that she doesn't want it to be the Demuses is very strange, and I feel like there's probably some relationship between Jan and Howard. Maybe he helped her complete the murder. He says that he knew it was Jan by the 8th episode, another time that the number 8 pops up, and that he didn't tell them because he wanted to see how it played out, but maybe he actually knew from the start and he and Jan were working together and then things went sour and she wanted him to go down for it. So I think that it's very possible that the number 8 actually is alluding to the fact that the murderer is talked about or is in episode 8, and that we need to be looking there. So I rewatched that episode recently, like I said, and I think that Howard is a great option for this. We also know that, as I mentioned last video, Charles mentions after seeing Howard pass out from his nosebleed that he really thinks that Howard is faking it, that he's acting, and that he didn't really pass out. He says something to Mabel like, oh, you thought that was real? I definitely thought that was acting. And it's just a small thing, and last season I kind of wrote it off as like, oh yeah, Charles doesn't know what he's talking about. But I think it's very possible that Howard actually was acting, that he knew exactly what was going on, that he wanted to protect himself because he was in cahoots with Jan, and he pretended to faint so as to keep his name out of their mouths. And it worked, because immediately they decided that it couldn't possibly be him because Tim was shot and that had blood involved. So yeah, that is something. So I think that it could definitely be Howard. The other person, and somebody on Reddit mentioned this, and I can't find their username anymore, but I think a bunch of people have talked about this, is that the murderer is Marv because he plays the murderer in the little play that Oliver sets up so that they can visualize what's happening. So they have Tim Kono, played by Sam, and then they have Marv as the murderer. They're assuming that it's one of the Demuses at this point, but Marv is playing that part. And what if all the 8s are telling us that the person who's the murderer is actually the person who was playing the murderer in their little simulation, and that was Marv. And also in that moment, he is wearing a black beanie, a hoodie, and a long black coat. And that is something that we have seen in the person who Bunny was meeting up with at the Pickle Diner as they're leaving. So I really think that Marv has the same getup as the person who was leaving the Pickle Diner, and I think it's possible that the number 8 is alluding to the fact that it's Marv, he's the murderer, he played the murderer in their little simulation, but he was actually the murderer in real life. So that is what I think. That is my theory on the number 8, but also if you have any other theories for why the number 8 keeps popping up, I do not think that it's a coincidence. I think that there's something here with the number 8, and I'm just excited to see where the rest of the season goes. Obviously, we are more than 50% of the way through the season. If you like these videos, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, the bell notification, leave me a comment, all those YouTube-y things. I absolutely love to hear your theories. Don't forget to comment questions down below for a getting to know me video. I would love to answer your questions and let you get to know me a little bit better. And I want to give a big shout out again to all the people who comment down below and give me their best theories and their favorite guesses and the people who they think the murderer is. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I couldn't make these videos without you all, and I will see you in the next video for episode 7. Oh my god, what am I gonna do when this series is over? Like, I'm gonna miss it so much. But yeah, see you next week in episode 7. Bye.